At this point, honestly, does anyone even believe that Elder Scrolls 6 has the slightest chance of success? I think Bloodlines 2 has a bigger chance to become a game of the year than Elder Scrolls 6 being even a remotely good game. I'm not even talking about good. I'm not talking about average. I'm just talking about the bare minimum playable at this point. Because I don't believe it, and I don't think a lot of people believe that. The current Bethesda, honestly, I say couldn't, but we shouldn't say couldn't. It's just Bethesda. Bethesda has been absolutely clueless, talentless, and everything for the past 20 years at this point. Since Skyrim, they have just completely went downhill. Honestly, saying Bethesda is talentless kind of gives them too much credence. Bethesda is so talentless that they are arguably creating a talent of being talentless. It's so bad. Their developers are not just bad at their job at every possible level, and I mean seriously, every possible level. Their engine is 20 years outdated, and you know what's the funniest part about that? Starfield is supposed to be the updated version of whatever engine Bethesda is using. Yes, and that garbage dumpster fire is gonna be on what Elder Scrolls 6 is gonna be made on. So I assume everyone's really happy to know that, you know, Elder Scrolls 6 is gonna look like Starfield. Ah, yes, obviously. The middle-age fantasy equivalent of a tarp on the floor and a cooling system or a vent on literally every single open space on a wall. I personally can't wait for this disaster. It is honestly also sad because I would much rather prefer, obviously, a good Elder Scrolls game. But I mean, I know that we're not getting it. You know that we're not getting it. 2 years back, people would be saying, "No, Elder Scrolls 6 is gonna succeed. It's gonna be great. You just need to believe. You're a hater." And now, I mean, every time we talk about Bethesda or Elder Scrolls in general, it seems like there's not a lot of people, or honestly, pretty much no one at this point, saying anything against that. Saying, "Oh no, Elder Scrolls 6 is gonna be good. Well, you just watch. Bethesda still got it." No, no one's even commenting that. At this point, my average video has something like a 96, 95, 94% liked dislike ratio. Except the rare ones where it's hot opinions because people do not want to see the truth just yet. But give it time, I'm always right, boys. It is what it is. Look at Borderlands. Look at Borderlands. Look at literally everything, including Assassin's Creed Shadows and the new expansion that you probably don't know even is happening. Hey, that's a reason to subscribe right there, because I cover all of the garbage. I love talking bad about the garbage. I have more than 250 Starfield bad videos. I have more than 200 Diablo 4 is garbage videos. Damn right, boys, I am pitch perfect, boy. Mwah. You gotta love it. In any case, no one believes that Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be successful. But every day that we know more information, or Bethesda literally even dares to exhale or inhale, people are getting pissed and seeing, "Oh god, this is really, really bad." Okay, the next Elder Scrolls game, Elder Scrolls 6, is supposed to be in Hammerfell, and we all know why it's in Hammerfell. Because woke propaganda, DEI, ESG, and, you know, just a checklist. And that gives them a pretty easy checklist. It's insane. It's insane. I think, honestly, even the Act Ma'am could not fight against this.
Today, we're diving into Elder Scrolls 6 to open up our weekend. Simple question, but also a big topic. Can they do it? And Maddie, why are you randomly talking about if Bethesda can pull this off or not? We still got a couple of years. We still need to see if Starfield turns it around. Well, two things brought this game to my mind.
Are you insane? Who here thinks that Starfield can turn it around? We saw Shattered Space. Shattered Space was doubling down on all the poor decisions made, which is literally the whole game, by the way. Doubling down, quadrupling down even. And people did not like it. Most people got Shattered Space for $0. A big, ginormous zero. It was free because they pre-ordered. And when Shattered Space released, there wasn't even this much of a bump in player numbers. From 3K average, it went to 6K on the release date for the expansion. Not a single person cared. If it wasn't for most people for free, I'm pretty sure that there wouldn't even be a bump.
The first is I'm continuing my Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 journey. We'll have a final verdict video out sometime soon, I hope, but too long didn't read, and as expected by many of you, I've been loving it. This game echoes a lot of Bethesda Game Studio style game design, but with the freedom and the writing quality I hope.
Wait, how old is this video? 16 hours. What the hell, Maddie? This video is 16 hours. Why are we talking about Kingdom Come Deliverance? Didn't you already review it? I'm confused, but okay.
That they reach for with Elder Scrolls VI. And in thinking about Bethesda's future, I do think a bit about what Warhorse is doing and how they've lapped Bethesda in a lot of ways.
Warhorse is dead. Vavra is... He's not doing a lot of that woke stuff, but it's propaganda. If you do not know, Kingdom Come Deliverance is propaganda. It is not woke, but it is propaganda. Because no one knows this, because no one actually gets to the end of the game. The end of the game just goes full mask off in propaganda. Congratulations, you're actually one of the chosen ones. Now you must forgive the people who wronged you, because they are one of your own. It is... I mean, I don't want to even go into how much propaganda there is at the end of this game. It is insane. And a lot of people, by the way, know about this. Vavra already pissed off a lot of people. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, success. The next one, that's going to be questionable. Because there's not a lot of people who are actually in the space of talking about stuff, except Maddie, obviously, who believe in anything that Vavra says at this point.
In fact, I think it's a better comparison than how the people talked about, say, The Witcher versus Fallout 4 when 2015 was going on, or how people were comparing Starfield and Baldur's Gate. I feel this is much more of a one-to-one comparison. So just the recent game I'm playing has Elder Scrolls VI on the mind, but we also got a write-in on Defining Duke just asking if Bethesda can do it. Like, the wait has been tremendous. The public's kind of against them thanks to 76 and Starfield back-to-back, and some people even found Fallout 4 to be a disservice to the franchise, which I understand. So
Fallout 4 was a massive failure with the next-gen update. And by the way, before anything, before Elder Scrolls 6, before Fallout 5, before anything, we have the biggest looming disaster that's going to completely destroy Bethesda from within. And that is the Fallout TV show. The first Fallout TV show was an aggressive 5 out of 10. I have reviewed it tons of times. There are good things like Lucy and the Ghoul, but there's also Brother Maximus, which is an absolute joke and whatnot. But the Fallout TV series was really lightning in a bottle, which actually shows you how mistreated the Fallout is under Bethesda. Because I have been saying this for years. My opinion has not changed on this since I actually established it. It hasn't even honestly evolved. But it is the fact that Fallout is one of the easiest to get into, fun, understandable IPs that there exists in the world. It's one of the easiest. Borderlands is also an extremely easy one. So it can get in fans from pretty much everywhere. It is extremely good. The world is interesting. It's just a perfectly easy way to tell stories, and it's a very interesting world with a lot of interesting caveats and things like this, but nothing is too much out of the realm of understandable. Like, if you show a random person the Fallout 76 world, or any Fallout game world, actually 76 is a bad example, because it's more going into the Lovecraft Cthulhu mythos than, actual Fallout. It's not even Fallout at this point. But anyone would be capable of understanding the Fallout universe. It's not complicated, it's not hard. Everyone would be instantaneously able to resonate with it. And that's the power of the franchise. And, the first season of the show got lightning in a bottle because there were a lot of tourists. But I really don't think they're coming back for season 2. And Bethesda is putting a lot of money into season 2, and it's not gonna work out because all the good storylines are finished, and now only slop is left. So yeah, and also the tourists are not gonna return. They're not gonna return.
Again, it's a big question. Can they do it? Now, if we're talking dollars and cents, I feel that conversation's over on if they can do it. If Oblivion remake sales are anything to go by, the Elder Scrolls IP is still very strong. Hell, Bethesda Game Studios as a brand and their ability to market is strong. As an Xbox and PC exclusive title, still to this day, Starfield was a top-selling game in 2023, which I consider to be one of the best video game years ever. So, if we're...
Was it? On Xbox, it was for free. A lot of people know that you could have got it on the PC Game Pass for free. And that's pretty much it. So it wasn't actually a good seller. We don't know the sales data. We have only player data, which was 33 million people. Which is technically, by the way, a lot or something like that. But, well, it is a lot. But again, a lot of those people got it for free.
We're talking from a business angle. Can they do it? I think it's already done. Creatively and delivering, I think that's a much more broad conversation that I'd like to explore today. So, of course, no doubt, I'll hear from you down below. Please fire away. Would love to hear from you. But otherwise, let's dive into this because I have a lot of thoughts.
And by the way, like the video, hype the video if you're on mobile device. That helps out a lot. And if you think these things are important, do it. Because this is going to make a lot more people see the video, I can guarantee you. And it's a great help to the channel, and I appreciate it. Thank you. But do it because you think this is important and more gamers should be aware of these situations. So, you know, the world becomes a better place.
I'll start with a little bit of optimism and then sort of whittle away at that throughout the course of the video. I do think, despite the pessimism around Bethesda, they are one sentence away from getting our interest. The consumer is far more educated than ever. And that shows with purchasing decisions being made, how games that should fail are failing, and so on. There's no more wool over our eyes. So that's why I use the word interest. To me, all I think Bethesda needs to say when they step out on stage and talk about Elder Scrolls VI is, quote, everything you see here is handcrafted and placed, and there aren't any loading screens, end quote.
LOL, like that's gonna happen. First, there's gonna be loading screens, but for Elder Scrolls 6, it doesn't matter. In Starfield, it mattered because there were 6 loading screens in a row. Often. All the time, in fact. But for Elder Scrolls 6, it's not going to matter because there's not going to be that many loading screens in a row. You know, 2 probably is going to be the max. Which is not going to matter that much because you're going to do things in between, I guess, so it's going to be fine.
I think it's that single one fell swoop statement that can address a lot of the core issues with Starfield, while also bringing Bethesda back to what we both think they're good at, but also what they should always be doing, which is making one continuous open world space that reacts to the things you do. However, besides that core focus of Starfield being an issue, this game, alongside 76, introduced a lot more problems in how Bethesda looks at their games. And as I've covered before, this really began with the success of Skyrim and how Bethesda interpreted it, but let's dive a little bit deeper. It's about the shifting business model first and foremost. Bethesda created a lot of goodwill over the years by shipping what I think were some of the best-in-class DLC and also some of the worst-in-class DLC, no doubt about it. You got Horse Armor, but you also got Shivering Isle. You would get a $60 game, it would knock your socks off. 300 hours later, you're still finding new things to do. No updates required. Now, we're in a day and age where Bethesda's games function as live service titles, excluding 76, the obvious live service title. You look at Starfield, and while Todd did deny this when I asked him about it, I still view Bethesda Game Studios games as live service games. They're continuously...
Yep, I mean, all of them have the in-game slop shops.
Updated. They're always adding a little bit something here or there, and I think the same thing's about to happen to Fallout 4 this year, as we've discussed. Creations have entirely changed the fabric of Bethesda games.
Oh god, I want to skip over this part. Creations are garbage. He's gonna mention the Bard College. You can see it right here. Skyrim Bard College expansion. Bruh, this Bard College is garbage, even if it costs like $5. Don't do it.
Studios games. What was once a, we will handle making the best possible game we can, and then you can add on top of it, has become a bit of, I would say, too much of a collaboration and almost being viewed as, by many, Bethesda leaning on their community to fill gaps in their game. It's a double-edged sword because I know a lot of modders and I know how hard they work, and I feel they should get paid for their work because they've done it for free for a while. And I always bring that comparison back to YouTube, where I bust my ass, I know many people bust their ass, and many of us did it for free for a while, and it's great to be able to put more energy, time, and effort into the thing we really care about after doing it for free for so long and just earn a living doing it. So it's that double-edged sword where I'm in support of creations for the people, but also I see the argument, and I do agree with parts of it, on how bringing mods into the fabric of the business model so closely has become a quick way for Bethesda to basically allow their community to fill in the gaps. I used to never really co-sign that argument until much more recently, if you've watched my content. But the shifting business model has been something Bethesda...
That is such bullshit, by the way. We already had mods for Bethesda games forever, and they were for free. Some were paid, but most of them were for free. And now it's like, oh, here's mods at our shop for money. It's better. No, it's not. Most mods are not worth it. In fact, I'm pretty sure there's like barely any mods that are worth it.
Has been pioneering for a while, but really other games and their failure to success journeys have also opened the door for. Everyone's looking for their No Man's Sky. Everyone's saying we can be the next Cyberpunk 2077, but the reality is, at least in my case with Cyberpunk, I'm less of a fan of No Man's Sky, is that within all that was still an incredible video game. It was just buried in bugs and glitches, and then beyond those, they continue to add improvements to the game.
True.
When Bethesda was at their best, for many of us, they were shipping single-player games.
Literally 20 years ago, okay? If we really need to stop talking about Bethesda as it was good. No. 20 years ago, bro, I was a fucking child back then. I was goddamn 10. I was goddamn 10. No, not even 10, 7 or something. No, slightly older, 12 or whatever. It doesn't matter. My opinions didn't matter. Like, Bethesda wasn't good. Well, it was good back then. Their games do stand the test of time. The Oblivion remake is proof that modern day Bethesda is just garbage. The Oblivion remake easily be loved. Even though it had a lot of issues, people still played it because it was good enough. It's like Dragon's Dogma 2. 5 FPS in a city? Well, I'm just not going to go to a city and I'm going to keep playing the game. That's it. It is what it is. Bam.
Premium games, and then shipping you DLC to add on top of it, and then the modders would really get to work. But nowadays, it's buying mods, Bethesda selling you quests also through their own creation system, and then on top of that, gradual updates, which are always exciting and interesting and give the game a fighting chance, like something with...
Is this exciting?
Starfield, still very interested to see what their second wave of content...
The answer is no, by the way. The answer is easily no.
...it's going to be, but removing that component and being able to fix it later has opened the door for not just Bethesda, but a lot of RPG developers to miss pretty big at launch and get it right in a couple of years. It's hard to imagine now, but just looking at Starfield, there's a world where they address all of the core complaints with the game and make it what we wanted it to be, but it's also 2026 by the time we get that. And there's a very uncomfortable feeling about that with how games are going and role-playing games are going. So I just look at that first, the business model. Can they do it? Can they make an Elder Scrolls VI really great within that business model? And no doubt, out of everything we've talked about in these recent game releases, I think the biggest game of them all will be Elder Scrolls VI. So are they really motivated? Are they inclined to ship?
I mean, Elder Scrolls VI is going to be big, but it's going to be also massively refunded, probably. It's going to be massively a buggy fucking mess. Because, I mean, Microsoft is probably done holding Bethesda's hand because they know how incompetent they are. Microsoft bought Blizzard and Bethesda for like something like 90 billion. in total. Bethesda was 8 billion or something. And, well, it's not paying off. It's not paying off in the slightest. The only thing that technically paid off was the Fallout TV show, but that didn't really, make that much money. It didn't make money back. It was just a lucky thing, and that's it. But nothing else is paying off for Microsoft. Starfield, keep in mind, Bethesda wanted to launch Starfield 2 years earlier. Starfield already was released in an absolutely unplayable, buggy state, arguably. Well, no, it was playable, but, well, by Bethesda's standards, it didn't have a lot of bugs. By any normal game standard, it was still an absolute buggy fucking mess. But it wasn't as bad as 76, and that's because Microsoft told literally Bethesda, no, you're gonna spend like a year or 2 years fixing the bugs. And that's what they did.
Shift that business model to something more premium, where it's not about the gradual updates, but like, here you go, and we'll see you in 5-6 months for your next big expansion. It's tough to imagine, I'm gonna be honest with you, just with the way games are made nowadays. But the focus shift beyond the business also comes to design. It's things that I've heard Bethesda say before, but also just how they've been making their games since Fallout 4. So one thing Todd Howard said with Starfield that was a pretty funny quote leading into launch, but then playing it, it has not aged well, is when he defined the game as irresponsibly large. Now, I'm always one to be pro developers having fun, like make the game you want.
No, developers shouldn't have fun. All the best games in history have been made by developers who are working 12 hours a day and missing their children's birth and subsequent birthdays. That has been in history all of the best games. And I'm not kidding, by the way, about that, okay? The games where developers actually chose to crunch themselves have been the best ones. So, yeah.
To make the game that you dream about. But Starfield does provide insight on what happens when you do what Todd said. You made it irresponsibly large, and yeah, you checked off that box of like 1,000 players. Like, they did that, and that's something.
It's irresponsibly shit. That's what the game is. There's not a single interesting quest line. There are some that are just completely back. Like the quest line for the pirates, where there's some random dude who is supposed to be initiated to you in the pirate gang, and he's like, let's betray the big pirate and take over. And he offers you that like 5 fucking times. And you can't do anything. You can't shoot him, you can't kill him, you can't tell the big boss pirate that he's out to get you. You can't do any of that. And in the end, if you choose to not betray Big Pirate Man, that guy doesn't get into the pirates anyway, and he just walks away. Before walking away, he also tells you in front of all of the pirates, hey, because you chose to not betray this guy that's literally standing right here and he's poking him in the face with me, I'm gonna get you now. And you, as a pirate and being amongst other pirates, you do nothing to him. In fact, if you try to shoot him, all the pirates attack you. That's roleplay at its fucking finest. How about the quest where you find a group of people from 300-ish years ago who left Earth, but they didn't have the, like, whatever drives that you use for faster-than-light travel in this stupid game. And then you need to help them establish a place to live, and the only planet that they are near is like it has like a resort on it, and there's like a board of comically evil people who say, you could blow up the ship. Oh yes, or you could give us as slaves or something like that. Effectively, all of your choices, unless you want to travel to another place and buy them a new engine, is just comically stupid and evil. Literal slavery. Blow them up and kill them because capitalism, I guess. And that's pretty much it. Just let them die. Can you kill the evil board of comically stupid villains? No, they're all immortal. You can't. You can't. That's not an option, even. It is woefully shit on every level.
To be proud of, no doubt, but it came at a tremendous cost that has been restated over and over, so I'll spare you that. But this is something Bethesda likes to do now. They shoot for big over substance. quantity over quality. And I think the best example is Starfield, not just because it's the easy game to kick around, but because I'm one of the people who thinks Starfield...
By the way, this is true. Bethesda does shoot for big. And that's because they're idiots who don't understand anything. They unironically are probably looking at something like Skyrim and being like, oh man, look at that. People are saying how big the map is. So we need to just make a big map. People love big maps. No. People love how big Skyrim is and how many things there are to find there, interact with, and do. That's what they love about Skyrim. Very pure, very simple. They don't fucking love Skyrim because it's big. They don't. No one likes Skyrim because it's big. That's just that's just a fast way to explain why Skyrim is actually good and liked by people, because it's big. That's it. But no, it's not just big. It's big and there's a lot of interesting stuff to find. All of the stuff is unique and things like that. Starfield is none of that. It's just the word big in all of the worst ways possible.
Genuinely has a lot of great content within it. But as I've defined it in our retrospective over on Retro Rebound, it's kind of a needle in the haystack situation when you drop in there. Like, you find this one needle and you're like, oh my God, wow, that was actually really good. Like, for me, it's the UC Vanguard questline. I'm like, that kicks a lot of ass. I still defend that.
The UC Vanguard questline's ass.
I think it is awesome.
I mean, it is by far probably the most average questline there is, which is probably good by Starfield standards, but all in all, it's still slop.
But then surrounding it and trying to find other stuff that's like that is very difficult. And part of that is because the game is irresponsibly large, and that's because it's filled with a bunch of fluff content that's not needed, like delivering Terra Brew coffee to someone in New Atlantis. Like, it adds literally nothing to the game except the idea of content. So I think getting away from that and making something responsibly large would be a step forward for Elder Scrolls VI, but also shifting things that I'm in disagreement with some of the Bethesda community on. One is recurrent legendary loot. This was introduced in Fallout 4. I did not like it there. Yes, even in my fanboy state.
Yeah, that wasn't a fan of this too much. But, I mean, maybe. Also, 1,000 damage? What the fuck? Oh, no. That's how much ammo he has. It's been a while. For a moment, I just lost myself.
I did not like legendary loot. I just thought this took away from the iconic, unique loot that Bethesda had given us. 76 took it a step further because they're a live service game, so they're always going to be pumping you with new loot, new legendaries. And I think even when they introduced 4 stars, I'm like, God, let it go. But in 76's defense, they've also started to balance it out with more unique weaponry for big events, guaranteeing drops for them. So I think they've done a good job creating a balancing act there, at least for me as a Bethesda Game Studios traditionalist, if you will. But the legendary loot to me got really out of hand with Starfield. I'm like, this is a single player game, and all these weapons look and feel the same in a sci-fi world that has all these planets and all these different energy sources. Like, how is this even possible? It doesn't match up with the lore. It's easy to make a lot of, quote, exciting loot when you can basically recycle assets and randomize stat buffs and how many stat buffs are attached to a weapon based on its rating. Like, it's very easy to make that procedural, but that's the problem. Again, it's quantity, like, oh, I got a new legendary, versus quality of like, oh, I fought through 30 enemies, but at the end I got the Wabbajack. But you've heard me rant about this one before. What you really haven't heard me rant about too much is the last component of the shifting focus at Bethesda that absolutely, I think, harms their games. And it's one that I know a lot of you really like. And it's settlement mode. It's building in their games. Now,
Nope. Most people do not like settlements. They don't like building them. Okay? There are people who... Now, granted, there's going to be people in the comments who say, I love settlement mode, it's the best thing ever. Yeah, but you're a super Bethesda fanboy. There is no such thing as someone who likes settlements and building them in Bethesda games, and is not a super mega fanboy with 5,000 hours in 76. It doesn't exist. It's just not real. In any case, yeah, by the way, settlement mode is definitely coming to Elder Scrolls VI, so have fun with that.
to be fair, before I go any further, one, as I just said, many more people like this than me. Number two, Starfield was a step in the right direction where it was completely 100% optional. However, in that light, I also feel like they could have just injected that effort somewhere else. And I say that because I do think that this is a contributing reason to why Bethesda has been leaving so many locations hollow in Fallout 4, in 76, and in Starfield. Starfield obviously being the most famous example of those three, of just leaving locations completely barren because they're anticipating you could build anywhere, anyway, anyhow. They leave them empty so you can fill them. And this goes back...
No, it's actually just to waste your time. Because it's traversal. Because what else are you going to do between instances? Nothing. Like, you need to traverse stuff. It's not empty because base building. It's empty because players need to, like, move through the planet and, you know, otherwise... Like, what are we talking about here?
To what I said earlier about Bethesda's single sentence to kind of bring our interest back to the table. As much as I love participating in the shaping of a world they've made, I want something that Bethesda has built and created the history of. I don't find joy in soulless locations that I then fill with a town of nameless NPCs. And I imagine much of this is wasted breath. Like I've long predicted, even back to my wishlist series for Elder Scrolls VI back in, I want to say like 2016, that Elder Scrolls VI would have some sort of castle builder, some sort of town builder. It would go beyond the settlement mode. It would be a true evolution of it all. And in my perfect world, Bethesda just does what they did with Hearthfire and add this stuff later so they can just focus on making the perfect adventure, the perfect RPG for the bulk of the game's development. And then...
Oh my god, there's no way. Okay, Maddie, please. You're coping out of your absolute mind at this point. Anyway, that was Mr. Maddie 10 out of 10. Bye!